one of the largest regions in Vanilla Morrowind, the Ashlands stretch from the base of Red Mountain, covering huge swaths of Ardenfell's interior. And there is beauty in these desolate wastes. The ridges of ash and dust, the voyadas with their carved paths, the barren pillars of stone. There is a scenic beauty here, but such a huge region could always use just a little more diversity, more distinct sub-biomes of unique features that distinguish it from the rest of the vast Ashlands. Enter today's Mods of the Day, two mods that add a new sub-biome to the Ashlands around the village Margan. For today, we're showcasing Markgrand Forest, aka Margan Forest, by D-Manufacturer 87, and another Markgrand Forest by Markond. Taking inspiration from the maps of the Elder Scrolls Arena, which shows a Markgrand Forest in the place where Margan is today, these two mods overhaul the landscapes of this tiny slice of the Ashlands to just to better fit that particular name. And to begin with, we're going to focus on D-Manufacturer's original Markgrand Forest mod, since it was the first to utilize this concept. Utilizing assets from Tamriel data, Markgrand Forest transforms the landscape around Margan into a scenic and dense fungal forest of ash-covered parasol mushrooms. Very similar in style to Terry-built Grey Meadows region, but with a more densely wooded feel. Covering the area just directly north of Margan and the Foyeda to the east, creating sort of a forested path that leads us all the way to Kogaroon, the Markgrand Forest is a sizable landscape overhaul that transforms a once overlooked and a largely empty corner of the Ashlands into a vastly more interesting area for you to traverse through, with new encounters awaiting in the shadows of these giant Emperor Parasol mushrooms. Like with D-Manufacturer's extinct city of Kogaroon, there's a nice usage of atmospheric lighting here, with the occasional red glow of some fire ferns or other bit of flora, alongside the green bobbing of little glowing insects hovering around the branches of these gigantic fungal growths. With a lush, albeit, very ashen undergrowth, you'll feel like you've been transported from the Ashlands into just an entirely new environment. And there's little question, at least to my mind, that this is a major improvement over the vanilla landscape. I mean, I love the Ashlands. I really do, Their quiet, desolate nature is a beauty all its own. But this particular corner of the Ashlands was never, shall we say, the most exciting. Aside from one or two bandit camps and an egg mine, there's not really a whole lot here, location-wise. And there was virtually no reason to travel through this little slice of the Ashlands otherwise. As a quick comparison, you can see the vanilla terrain here. And it's really not much to look at, some ashen hills and not much else. Not only is it a bit on the dull side, but historically, there haven't really been that many mods, or really any that I can think of, that have used this corner of the Ashlands, bordered in as it is by the Westgash and the Foyeda Bani Dad. Compare that vanilla terrain to a bird's eye view of Markgrand Forest, and I think you'll agree Markgrand Forest is a visually far more exciting utilization of the game's terrain. An ideal little sub-biome to adventure through and make discoveries in. There's even a new quest for you to stumble upon. But of course, D-Manufacturer's Markgrand Forest isn't the only mod that we're taking a look at here today. For we've also got another Markgrand Forest by Markond, a mod inspired by D-Manufacturer's version, but remade with an eye towards maintaining both compatibility with other mods and improving performance. One of the biggest differences here is the size and scale of the Markgrand Forest, where D-Manufacturer's version was fairly expansive and stretched all the way to the outskirts of Kogaroon. Mark Hahn's version is constrained to only the corner of the Ashlands north of Morgan, simply filling in the terrain between the natural surrounding boundaries, and avoiding any spillage into the Foyer de Banidad. The forest is notably not as dense, especially not with undergrowth, though there is still a few small plants and mushrooms just added in here and there. Though, to be clear, this is still just an incredibly scenic landscape overhaul. While it might not be, as dense, it still captures that forest-like feeling, and it does feel like a natural enhancement of the landscape. One that's both vanilla-friendly and still quite a bit better than what was here in the vanilla game. And notably, another Mark Grand Forest does have better performance than the manufacturer's version. I did notice the occasional FPS drop with the latter, so if that's a concern, another Mark Grand Forest is a decent alternative. But either way, both mods are simply excellent additions to the game, and I think they both manage to capture that feeling of an alien forest that that's just perfectly suited to Morrowind's strange alien nature. But anyway, that's all there is to see here, so that's just our mod today. As always, I've been your host, Golf Guy. Thanks for watching, stay safe, stay healthy, happy modding, and I'll see you all next time.